Hey guys, what's going on? Cerebral Syndicate, right back in your face. I'm not gonna hit you in the feels this time. I'm Excalibur, one and only, like always. Don't get tired of seeing me. I'll be here all the time, you know, whatever. Or will I? Nah, I will, never mind. So, great episode, one that I'm actually really excited to do. If you can't tell, I have the bat motif going on. Yeah, so superhero video games are very, I don't want to say they're a lost art because the art hasn't even really gotten to a point to where it can be lost. There have been great superhero video games that they've done. Some of my favorites so far have been the Knock Spider-Man series that has been doing very well. And they're actually doing the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game as well that comes out this spring, actually. It comes out next month, the 29th. So stay tuned for that. It looks really cool. I loved when Ravensoft did the X-Men Legacy series and also when they did Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I'm a sucker for top-down dungeon crawlers. I mean, give me a Diablo game with superheroes and I'm good to go. What more do you need? But then there's also that Titus Software Superman 64 that everybody wants to not remember, but I'm even sorry for bringing it up. I'm sorry. Also, out of nowhere came Batman Arkham Asylum, done by a little known company that most people didn't really expect. Rocksteady, they only did one game before they got bought by Warner Brothers, and it was Urban Chaos Response Unit, if I remember the name correctly. I may even be butchering the name, but it came out for PS2 and I think the original Xbox, and nobody really remembers it. But I remember seeing it at work one day and I'm like, oh, hey, I don't know what this is, whatever, just bypass it. But you fast forward to 2009 and these guys have this vision to make probably one of the most ambitious video games that you've seen. They decide to say, hey, you know what? If we're gonna make a Batman game, let's be Batman. I mean, Christian Bale jokes aside, you know, but they wanted the experience to be Batman. So fast forward and let's do Arkham Asylum. Cool thing about it is that it was a spiritual successor to the animated series that featured the voice of Kevin Conroy, who was also in the game. And the games are also, the first two anyway, were written by Paul Dini. So Arkham Asylum and Arkham City both set a very dark, gritty tone for the series, and it allowed Rocksteady to create a Batman universe outside of itself, even sparking different comic books, also sparking an animated film series that's going to start from DC, I think later this year. So let's just kind of speed up a little bit. 2009, they finally put out Arkham Asylum, a really great Joker-centric story. Trap Batman in the asylum, see if we can get all the villains to take him out. Batman has tons of rogues. What else do you need? So if you guys haven't played this game, I really don't want to give any of the endings or anything away. But that one, and then you roll into the second one. Second one's still dealing with the Joker. Now they've moved the asylum outside into the city, just because Arkham Asylum as we know it just doesn't exist at that point. So now that they've kind of rolled outside, you have bigger sprawling environments. Your Batwing becomes a thing, which is great. Your grappling is cool, the combat gets cooler. So you start doing a lot of things that become more Batman-esque, if I can use that terminology. But they actually did really cool things too, where when you got to Arkham City, you actually started playing as altered characters. So you were playing as Catwoman kind of in the in-between sequences. So you would finish, it's almost like issues. So you finish one with Batman, there's Catwoman, finish Catwoman's portion, and then there's Batman again, and then it all wraps up at the end. Really cool. The challenge map thing, fantastic. Boss fights were all fantastic. Scarecrow was a main piece of the first one, and now that I kind of bring him up, it allows me to kind of roll around and do, now they've announced Batman Arkham Knight. The Joker is not going to be a part of this one. His piece in that series is pretty much done, more so because Mark Hamill has retired from that character. And even though Troy Baker did bring that character back and did a fantastic job, I mean, just phenomenal with Arkham Asylum. Arkham Asylum as itself isn't really part of the main Arkham continuum. So here's what we're looking at now, going into Arkham Knight. The title itself is a really cool play on words, but I'll get to that later. Arkham Knight is set a year after Arkham City, and Joker's gone. Both sides of the asylum, whether it being the asylum itself and the city, just totally destroyed. So now Scarecrow decides, hey, you know what? We need to take out this Batman guy. He's causing some trouble. So rogues get together and they're gonna start causing some mayhem. So cool feature that they're doing in this one. We're gonna see the Batmobile for the first time, like the redesigned one for the game. Really cool, because they did a very a cool like chimera amalgamation of the Batmobile. So you got like the really cool aspects of the tumbler where it just looks like really rough and rigid, and then you got the stuff that you find like in the comics and the animated series where it's really sleek and looks like a sports car. So you got two really big portions of it, and they kind of smash them together and say, hey, you know what? Here's this Batmobile. Now it's going to be a main portion of it, which is really cool. Also, going back to that Arkham Knight title, that is not referencing Batman himself. It's actually referencing a new supervillain. Ooh, the suspense. Yeah, but it's cool because the supervillain himself is actually created in conjunction with Rocksteady and Jeff Johns, who is like one of the head honchos at DC Entertainment, which is really cool because they're able to create a new character for a continuum that hasn't seen a lot of new characters outside of maybe what they've done with Batman Incorporated in the comic books. So if you guys haven't seen them, there are pretty awesome high-res like photos of this guy. He's like this crazy, like militaristic looking Batman. He's got like guns and grenades and fatigues everywhere, and he's just straight badass. But we don't know who the character is or who he's supposed to be. But I do have theories on where they did take some of that character from. If you guys have not read Batman Nightfall, it is fantastic. That was also where they where they got the Man That Broke the Batman theme that they used in Dark Knight Returns. So it's a very big Bane story, and it's Batman recovering, and while Batman is recovering, they have this guy named Jean-Paul Valley who ends up becoming the Batman while Bruce is out. And probably wasn't such a good idea because the guy is a raving lunatic. So there you go. So that may be part of where Arkham Knight comes from, but also if you guys read Battle for the Cowl, they had the Red Hood character when they first reintroduced Jason Todd, and he was like off of this weird Lazarus pit high and went crazy, and he had this really crazy medieval metal looking Batman suit, and he's rolling around just shooting people, just having a blast. But that's also kind of what fed into the Batman and Robin, where Dick Grayson was Batman and you had Damian. But there you go, guys. That's about as much as I know about the game right now in my hypotheticals. But we're getting a lot more information as we get closer to that October 14th release date. We're going to see a lot more information. I'm definitely going to talk about it a little more. I've been nerding out about this game and running around my apartment respectively about it. So when I find stuff out, I'll let you guys know. As always, Cerebral Syndicate, I'm Excalibur. See you next time.